thank you for having me. Before I start, I will say I totally agree with Adam because women rock. This whole thing in the state of Florida is making change. And I promise you, I will credit the bulk of votes and the bulk of what we've been doing as cabinet members to the Democratic Women Caucuses, the statewide and the local ones. And I really mean that. I don't like take that lightly. But so about me, let's start with today. This statewide thing is very real. I woke up in Tallahassee. I'm now in Miami, but I will go to sleep in Orlando tonight. That's all in one day. All right. So, and now I'm on the call in the interim with you all. My name is Aramis Ayala. I am the mother of two little girls. I have an 8-year-old and an 11-year-old who, we have discussions about the outcome of the race and, how tough it's been. And my little one is just like, well, it's okay, mommy. I want you to win, but at least you can be a room mom if you don't. Like her desire, like her vision of this is me just being more active in school. And my oldest is a competitive gymnast. So she feels a little confident, I'll be there. But they also like the idea of mommy's dreams, and ability to help out people is coming to pass as well. I grew up, my mom and dad, they're wonderful human beings. Lost my mom last year in February. After a really tough illness. Her and my dad have been married almost 50 years. My dad is a Vietnam vet. He worked for General Motors for years, a UAW factory worker, worked his way up, and he is an executive now. He's a vice president of purchasing for a trucking company up in Detroit. He's that cool 73-year-old guy who just won't stop working. But he is, I'm all daddy's girl. If you all get that, I am 100% daddy's girl. He's texted this morning. So I'm just a regular person. I love life. I have an amazing, amazing, amazing husband who is helping me. I mean, this whole thing it's a family process, right? Like I had multiple events up in the Tallahassee area, a total of 3. And I was coming from Miami. I flew up to Tallahassee, but I didn't have anyone on the ground with me. So he drove him and the girls up there to be at the events with me. Then I flew back down here and he drove home. He's an absolutely wonderful person, worked on Amendment 4. He was a local president of FRCU, restoring the rights to the formerly incarcerated. And now he's the executive director of a national organization of formerly incarcerated and convicted people's family movement. So this is me. I originally born in Michigan. I love Florida. I'm not going nowhere. So this is home. But I decided, I'll move into my platform. I decided to run for Attorney General. And it was based upon my current job. I served as the elected state attorney. I was the first African-American state attorney in Florida. I was elected in 2016. I served from 2017 to 2021, leading the state in reforms, changing what justice looked like, but never compromising public safety, fought against domestic violence, gun violence, and crimes against children. That was the passion that I had. I served as a public defender. I've been a law professor. And after I left office, I was recruited to teach at the University of Central Florida. I'm a full-time tenure track professor. And I love my job. But what happened, I was teaching my students during this legislative session about unconstitutional laws because we were studying the Constitution. And I remember like going through, well, if this happens, they're like, well, what can happen? I was like, well, the attorney general should be, okay, all right, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm not going to teach about it, I'm going to go do it. And shortly thereafter, I took the call and I launched my campaign. And that became the foundation of everything that I was doing, fighting for our constitutional rights. There's nothing more precious than our fundamental right to vote. Everything falls from that. So if you all will see that what is happening right now with the election police, we know election integrity is that little, dog whistle, but, fighting against that. So I'll get into a little specifics in this because it's the hot issue right now. What I plan on doing with that is part of the AG's office should have a civil rights unit. And there's I think they have one, but there's 1 or 2 people. That's not a unit. That's just, unit and name. But what the civil rights unit can do and will do if I become the next attorney general is to launch a pattern and practice investigation into this police force. You'll see it at the DOJ level. They do it, and if there are issues with police and their behavior. So because this thing that Governor DeSantis has created has absolutely no transparency. I mean, literally, left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. It requires an attorney general who isn't afraid to dig deep and to find out not just what their true intent is, but what the impact is. And we know that it is racially disparate. What are their policies? Who are they going after? Are they policing in some areas and not others? Are there equal protection issues? Are there due process issues? There's certainly violations of people's rights because we're putting in people in jail who we've told have a right to vote. That's going to be part of the constitutional protections, having a unit that does that. The other thing is fighting against all of these attacks on our rights. The right to privacy is fundamental. Now, I'm all woman. I believe completely in every part of our right to vote, and I'm going to fight for that just because who I am. But outside of me and my biology, me and my choice, me and my way of life, it is also the law. Our Constitution has a very clear privacy provision that the Supreme Court of Florida has says applies to a right to abortion. The fact that we have an attorney general who is criticizing that and trying to undo it means that she thinks she works for the governor, not the people. Well, I'm going to help her understand how to do her job when I take it. That's the ultimate goal here. And I'm going to fight with every ounce of my being to ensure that this happens. And I want everyone to know the same way that she filed an injunction to stop that law that was saying the judge in Leon County said that it was unconstitutional and the ban was unconstitutional. Within hours, she filed it. And the only reason it's legit is because of what she filed, which means that I can withdraw that filing and then it will then be legit. It will be unconstitutional. The fact that the party and the people in the state of Florida aren't recognizing the authority and the power of this position, to one hand say that we care about women's rights, but aren't lifting the one position in this election who can change that, is mind-boggling. So I'm moving across the state to remind people that this isn't about politics. This isn't about who you like. This isn't about a chosen or an unchosen one. This is about a woman's dignity and her right to be a human being in the state of Florida. That's what I'm fighting for. The other constitutional rights have to do with LGBTQ plus community. We have too many people who are literally, I live in Orlando. And I was the prosecutor, for you all to know my experience. I was the person who was responsible for doing the use of force review for the Pulse investigation. That file sat in my office. I reviewed all the videos, all the carnage like that. Those are visions you can never unsee. Okay, so I am fighting because the rhetoric that comes from the top down, it literally causes death. So that's the humane part of it. But then again, once you eliminate and you get out of the human side of it and you go to the law side of it, whenever you use words like that are considered vague, it is a constitutional term in the law, unconstitutionally vague and overbroad. The word inappropriate is unclear to me and you. We don't know what that means. And just the way the law is drafted, it is unconstitutional on its face. And I quite frankly believe that every legislator who has a Florida bar card should be under review because they took an oath to follow the Constitution of the United States and the state of Florida. And how dare you carry a bar card to say that you know how to practice law when you are signing away and justifying unconstitutional laws? Well, here comes the Attorney General who's going to stop that, because I took that same oath and I'm going to exercise it as the next Attorney General. All of these laws are problematic, and I'll finish on this one. The voting rights, the decimation of those majority minority voting districts, that was the Attorney General's job to protect us from. Our Constitution in the state of Florida, we voted for fair districts in 2010. How many remember that, right? So because that is a part of our Constitution, anything that violates that, it is her job to ensure that it is not violated. So when Ron DeSantis filed a request for the Supreme Court to say, hey, is this district unconstitutional? The Attorney General should have said, no. Hey, you don't have to ask him. I'll tell you. I'll write an advisory opinion. I'll let you know it is not constitutional. And I'm not going to use the force of the state to back it. No legal backing, which means if the people sue for their districts to be restored, I can concede. That is, again, the power of the Attorney General. I can concede and they can be restored. This is, again, mind-boggling why we say we care about voting rights, but we're not supporting the position and lifting it up that can change something like that. So every constitutional right, going back to our human right to health care. I'm a cancer survivor who was 24 hours from death. I understand the need for health care, not my mother, grandmother, me. I had an emergency tracheotomy because I was suffocating from a tumor in my neck. I'm well aware that we need health care, and our current Attorney General fought against it. I'm well aware about minimum wage that was written into our Constitution. She has fought against it. I'm well aware of the constitutional right to restore voting rights to formerly incarcerated people. I will support that. The legalization of marijuana was written into our Constitution. I will support that. She has been a block when she is supposed to be the advocate, and I'm ready to stand up for that. The two other things on my platform, in addition to constitutional rights, is to ensure that we have real public safety. Public safety is, as I always say, much more than the mass incarceration of Black, brown, and poor people. Public safety is getting guns off the street. Don't tell me you care about public safety when you will not fight the NRA. I think you can probably feel now that I have the fire in my belly that I'm ready to fight them. I owe no one nothing, and I'm prepared to ensure that kids going to school are safe, that people going to their church and synagogue are safe, that people going to the grocery store are safe, that we as Americans and Floridians are safe, and that's what I'm fighting for. When we think about public safety, you have an Attorney General who is literally harboring the most dangerous and severe national security threat that we have, and that is Donald Trump. You see what happened when you have a strong AG in New York. He peddled himself and his family right out of New York, and he came here where he's safe in Florida. Well, guess what? I'm gonna show up, and he's gonna have to find a new place to stay. So absolutely, I am prepared for this job. And the last one is to create an economy that works for all of us. We cannot have an economy that just benefits the powerful. But if you are funded by Florida Power and Light, you're never going to question them. I am not. I'm not afraid to take on corporations because they're not funding me. I am fully prepared to take on the corporate greed, to question the mergers that are impacting all of the small businesses. That's how you help the economy as the Attorney General. To fight for a tenant's bill of rights. That's how you help this affordable housing issue. These are the things that we have to have an attorney who's ready, willing to put it all on the line for the people of Florida, and I am. I thank you for this opportunity. Again, my name is Aramis Ayala, your Democratic nominee for Attorney General, and I am looking for your support, your voice, your vote, everything that we need so that we can make change on November 8th. Thank you all very much.